The Mexican and American archaeologists at Palenque on the morning walk to work, past towering pyramids built by hand more than 1,000 years ago, into jungle that has overgrown the ruins of a once vast city, to this pile of ancient rubble, a heap of dirt and stone that didn't look like much to early surveyors. They gave it the nondescript name of Temple 19.
It was a hill, pretty much, just a mound, and that's typical of all Maya temples before they're excavated.
But what excavators have dug up shows that Temple 19 is far from typical. This was a grand building, fit for a king of uncommon power and great wealth. This past March, archaeologists working in one corner of the temple brushed 10 centuries of dirt away from this, what some are calling a king's throne and others call a royal platform. Around its base, a long inscription, beautifully drawn, expertly carved.
I realized very early on that we probably had one of the most major finds in the last 20-30 years in Maya archaeology.
The miniature size and fine edges of the low-relief carvings make them hard to see through the lens of a camera, even with the naked eye.
This is the front of the platform.
Maya scholar David Stewart used a flashlight to show the inscription at night, which actually makes the intricate detail sharper, clearer.
Even though it's a bit broken here, there's this beautiful, very elegant figure of a seated king.
Who was this king? This is his full-length portrait, found at the top of the temple's central staircase.
We found one of the most beautifully carved stone tablets ever found anywhere in the Maya world. It was set right where you could see it from the plaza below, and it was a billboard, basically. It was his signpost.
A signpost that had been torn down.
It was intentionally ripped off the wall, the pieces picked up, maybe even intentionally broken some more when it was on the ground, perhaps when the king was dead. That's a very common way of ritually killing or releasing the power. In fact, you'll see, if you look at the piece closely, they first broke his nose off and poked him in the eye.
A richly painted stucco frieze of the king showed similar defacing of his image. Once it was pieced together, the stucco portrait was found in thousands of small pieces on Temple 19's floor.
We carefully excavated and drew in and plotted and photographed all these pieces.
It took a team of restorers 7 months to fit together this ancient puzzle, taking care not to lose one rare chip of the original paint. The color is especially vibrant on fragments found embedded face down in the dirt.
Their paint is much better preserved. All the other stuccos you see here are washed out. They've suffered years and years of mold and fungus.
The extraordinary finds in Temple 19 are more than just fine works of Maya art. They are rare records of Maya history, written in hieroglyphs. Archaeologists can now read about 70% of them, can read the glyphs on the platform that identify the king and other figures, like ancient photo captions.
The Maya were very, very keen on making sure that everyone was identified in a scene like this. It was all very important. It for prestige reasons to be shown with the king. The king's name is in these 3 glyphs here and then 3 more down here with all sorts of titles. He's called the Holy Lord of Palenque right here.
More commonly known as Akal Monab. The glyphs contain Akal Monab's resume, names, places, exact dates, his birthday, September 13th, 678 AD, the day he became king, December 30th, 721 AD.
And we're able to actually read where we were in time, the names of the characters involved, who lived here, when this building was inaugurated.
Like all samples of ancient Maya writing, the glyphs in Temple 19 are precious because they are so rare.
Egyptologists have thousands and thousands and thousands of texts to work with. But with Maya, we're dealing with a limited amount of data.
It is one of the great ironies of history. The Maya created the only written language in the Americas before Columbus. At one time, there were tens of thousands of written documents and walls covered with hieroglyphics. Yet today, few examples of Maya writing remain. Ceramics and carvings are full of scenes showing Maya scribes writing in books made of folded bark paper. Spanish conquistadors burned whole libraries of those in the mid-1500s. Only 4 paper fragments are now known to exist. Time and jungle humidity got the rest.
Even what books survived, we often will find in powdered form or as a stain in a tomb.
For archaeologists, uncovering the long, intact inscription in Temple 19 was like finding extra pages of an ancient Maya dictionary.
We really didn't expect to find anything new to really add to this. And with this new inscription, we have to go back and kind of rethink everything.
Rethink what has been known about Maya history and the succession of Maya kings. Archaeological artist Mark Van Stone knows the new chapter of that history in detail. He's traced the Temple 19 inscription, illustration by illustration, glyph by glyph, for the record.
Until this temple was dug, Akalmanab, he was a footnote in Palenque's history. But now he's like Ramses the Great. We've discovered that he built Temple 16, Temple 17, Temple 18, Temple 19.
Archaeologists are keenly interested in those other temples, but are concentrating for now on Temple 19. They hope to finish excavation here by the end of this year, unless a planned sweep of the site with ground-penetrating radar shows something significant under the temple. A vault, a tomb.
It's quite possible that this structure does contain a very fabulous, fantastic tomb. It's an incredibly large structure. There's something very important going on here.
And there are hundreds of other structures in the jungle nearby.
Our mapping crews say that they're finding the same signature mounds that we see here, and they say they're just enormous and everywhere.
I'm convinced that if work continues here, excavating the hundreds and hundreds of pyramids that are in the forest behind us, we're going to find more stuff built by this king and other ones as well. I mean, we have just scratched the surface here after 100 years of work.
The surface of a rich, ancient culture submerged in time and mystery. Beth Nissen, ABC News, Palenque, Mexico.